So teaching a strong-willed child anything can be tough. But when it comes to sleep training, that can be especially daunting. So let's first of all take a look at the things that you should not do when you want to sleep train your strong-willed child. Firstly, don't have unrealistic expectations. Knowing what to expect can always make the journey easier. Therefore, with a strong-willed child, understand that they don't like change that much and that they will take longer to adapt. Don't let them get overtired and hyper. An overtired and hyper child is difficult to handle at the best of times, a strong-willed child even more so. Don't have a chaotic bedtime routine. Make sure that it happens at the same time every day and it runs smoothly and they know what to expect. Make sure that you choose the right sleep training method. There are lots to choose from, and later on we'll talk about which ones I think are the best for a strong-willed child. This is really important. Don't be inconsistent and hesitant in your approach to sleep training. If they see a chink in your armour, they are not going to listen to what you've got to say. So you need to make sure that you are on the same page all the time and that they know that you mean business. Now, I would advise not to let a strong-willed child cry it out when it comes to sleep training. I'm not a big fan of crying it out anyway, but especially with strong-willed children, because if you're just going to see who's got the strongest will, chances are they're going to last longer than you are. And finally, don't fight against the strong will. Work with it. You'll get far further if you do. And there are things that you can do with a strong-willed child that plays to their desire to have a little bit of control that will help you with the sleep training process. So let's take a look at what to do instead. And there are lots of things that you can do to make your sleep training of a strong-willed child run a lot more smoothly. Toddlers and preschoolers are stubborn by nature, and throw into that a strong-willed child as well, and then you have got a real job on your hands. However, working with it rather than against it will definitely produce better results. We should not look at strong will in our children as a negative thing. It can be a very positive personality trait, and when handled correctly, it can be a really, really useful life skill. So with strong-willed children, I always find it better to motivate towards good behaviour. You want them to succeed as often as possible because your positive response to their success and making a big deal out of the fact that they've got it right will mean a lot to them. And that's a great way to get a strong-willed child on your side. Now, you're always hearing me say this. You cannot look at one aspect of your child's sleep without looking at the whole day's sleep. So even though we're looking at sleep training involves naps and it involves bedtime as well. So you need to look at your child's overall sleep in order to decide what you're going to do when it comes to sleep training. So first of all, ensure they are getting the right amount of sleep that they need. Then you'll be able to work out how many naps they should be having and how long, and roughly what time they need to go to bed and how much sleep you would expect them to have at night. Then you also need to consider whether they've been outside during the day. Have they had enough fresh air, exposure to natural light, and have they had enough physical exercise? Now, this is regardless of whether you've got a strong-willed child or not. So these things that I'm talking about now are for all children. Even more important with a strong-willed child, because you want to set yourself up to have the best possible success rate. And by making sure they've got enough daytime sleep and they've been outside and had some physical exercise will really, really make sure that you've got a better chance of making it all go smoothly. And then you have to look at the individual day. So when it comes to sleep training, I always say no day is the same. So every day is slightly different, and you might have to approach the sleep training slightly differently. You might have to bring bedtime a bit more forward or push it out a bit, depending on what's happened in the day. If your child has had a super busy day, so they're more likely to get overtired, then keep a close eye on things, because you do not want them to slip into that overtired mode when you're in sleep training mode, because that will sabotage it. So if they've had a super busy day, something's upset them, they're not feeling well, you're probably going to have to bring bedtime forward, and you're going to have to make sure that bedtime itself runs exceptionally smoothly. So you've set the stage, you've made sure they've had enough sleep during the day, you have made sure they've got outside and got some physical exercise and that they are ripe and ready for sleep. The first thing you need to do is choose the right sleep training method. Now, with many people might think that having a strong-willed child means you have to have a strong sleep training method. And actually that's not the case. I would say that for a strong-willed child, a more gentle approach works better. I think something like my I'll be back method or the camping out or chair method works a lot better than something a bit more drastic when you're leaving your child. Both those methods are very gradual and they give your child time to adjust to you not being there until they fall asleep. As I said earlier, you need to be consistent. So once you've chosen the method, you need to stick to it. And as I said, have realistic expectations. Do not expect it to happen quickly. Strong-willed children are less adaptable to change. Therefore, you're going to have to put that extra bit of time in, and don't rush it. So if you're doing the camping out method, the chair method, you're going to have to take your time as you move yourself out of the room. It just takes a little bit more patience, but you will get there in the end. Also, have a very, very stable and consistent and established bedtime routine before you start sleep training. Having that foundation before you have to say the big goodnight is really going to help. It gets your child prepared for what's coming up, and it also ensures that you've had a lot of bonding time with them before you say goodnight and you're going to leave them. During the course of the bedtime routine, I would also say, offer your child 2 acceptable choices. I often give this advice, but it's even more pertinent when it comes to a strong-willed child. A strong-willed child wants to have an element of control over their life. So if you can give them those small opportunities where they feel they have got some control over something, especially in the bedtime routine, then it's really helpful. So they can choose 2 bath toys that they're going to play with. They can choose which pajamas they're going to wear before they get into bed. Give them two choices, let them choose one. They can choose 2 books that you're going to read. Within the structured bedtime routine, you are giving them an element of control, and that will really help. Strong-willed children are very goal-driven, so offer incentives. Say you're going to do something really special the next day, you're going to cook together, or you're going to take them to their favourite park. Give them an incentive to actually succeed in the sleep training. And again, because they're goal-driven, star charts and marble jars also work well. They like to have a goal, so when they've succeeded, you get to put a marble in the jar, or you get to put a star on the chart. When the jar is full, you go and get to do something really special. By the same token, toddler alarm clocks can be really helpful, because strong-willed child loves to have a focus. It gives them a focus, it gives them a rule to follow, and they love that. So again, try a toddler clock. That can really help them. Finally, I would say give it time. As I said, it will take a little bit longer with a strong-willed child, but give it time, don't rush it, because if you do, you're going to end up hitting a wall, and then you'll end up having a confrontation, and then nothing will move forward. Make sure that you really make a big deal of the positive. So when they succeed, they need to know they succeeded. As I said, they're very goal-driven, so they like to know that they've done a good job. So you must make sure that you react positively to their successes. By the same token, I would pick your battles. Does it really matter that they didn't want to get in the stroller and they wanted to walk, or they didn't want to tidy up quite as quickly as you wanted them to, or they didn't want to put on that particular coat or that particular pair of shoes during the day? Don't have too many fights during the day, because if you do, by the time bedtime comes, you're both going to be finished and exhausted with the fighting and the bickering. You need to have enough energy and focus and resolve to not give in. You're more likely to give in at the end of the day than you are at any other time of the day because you're tired. So you want to cut down on the battles during the day. So make sure that you're not having constant battles. Pick your battles, especially with a strong-willed child. So if you are dealing with a strong-willed child, as I said, you need to look at the whole picture, not just bedtime when it comes to sleep training. But I've also done a post on how to handle a strong-willed child, and there's a link in the description box below. That gives you a bit of an overall picture on how to manage children that are quite high-spirited and strong-willed, and this will lead into the sleep training. Also take a look at our Bedtime Battles course, because that also deals with how to deal with strong-willed children, and it gives you a lot of different views and aspects of sleep training and nap training in general. Again, there's a link in the description box below. I hope you found this useful. As I said, if you're a parent of a strong-willed child, I think it's a blessing in many ways. I have been fortunate to look after quite a few strong-willed children in my career, and I've always found them engaging and exciting and refreshing. So I really hope that you enjoy that journey with your strong-willed child. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I always like to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Thank you.